the best pass-catching duo in NFL history. Nick, you're a prisoner of the moment. Nick, you're a Chiefs homer. Nick, that is an outrageous question. Is it? So let's look at the best duos ever. Let's go to the original. So this is what Hill and Kelce have done post Tyreek Hill's rookie season. So over the last 4 years, over 11,000 yards, 86 touchdowns. Oh, yeah, won a Super Bowl and might win another one here in 9 days. So let's go to the original duo, Swan and Stallworth. Swan and Stallworth, I'm showing you their peak runs. 5-year peak. Obviously, Hill and Kelce have the better record, the better numbers, but that's not fair because it was such a different era. I would argue that 8,800 yards and 77 touchdowns 40 years ago was actually more impressive than what Hill and Kelce have done. So right now, you could argue Swan and Stallworth are ahead, but barely. All right, give me the next one. Harrison and Wayne. These guys were unreal individually, but their peaks only overlapped by really 4 seasons, 03 to 06. And you see in this, Hill and Kelce got them nipped in yards. They have them nipped in touchdowns. They're tied in Super Bowls, but again, that could change in 9 days. All right, the one all of us go to, my former colleague and my friend Chris Carter, along with Randy Moss. That's the one I think everybody goes to, and they were elite together for 4 seasons. In 02, Chris went to go play for Miami. So they only played together for 4 years. Those touchdown numbers are off the charts. The yards, amazingly, Hill and Kelce have them beat, obviously. Thanks to Gary Anderson, those guys never got to a Super Bowl. These guys are on their second one. And then the gold standard, because of production and longevity, are Torrey Holt and Isaac Bruce. Those numbers are unbelievable, but that's over 8 years. And so when you look at it, if these guys win, and they're favored to do so, a week from Sunday, they both have iconic playoff moments already. In the Super Bowl last year, Tyreek made the biggest play. Kelce scored the touchdown that got the comeback going. In the comeback, the 24-0 comeback against the Texans in the playoffs last year, I think Kelce had 3 touchdowns in the second quarter alone. Tyreek is a singularly great player given what his skill set is. Kelce is rewriting the tight end record books. If they stay together, and by the way, they're both under contract for the next few years, Tyreek for the next 3 years and Kelce for the next 5. They stay together with Mahomes as their quarterback, Andy Reid as their play caller. It is absolutely a legitimate question. Are they going to end up being the most prolific receiving duo of all time? And we used to always talk about triplets, quarterback, wide receiver, running back. In the modern NFL, is this not more what the triplets would look like? Quarterback, wide receiver, receiving tight end. And what you have with the Chiefs, and the perfect storm for it is, the best quarterback in the league, the best tight end in the league. And if you don't want to call Tyreek the best wide receiver in the league, you would certainly call him the most dynamic, the most dangerous receiver in the league. And those guys all coming together, it might end up being the greatest receiving duo, if they do this for another couple years, in the history of the league. Did Tom Brady take a shot at Bill Belichick, or was he just giving Bruce Arians some deserved love? We discuss that next. Rick Bucher in 15 minutes. Nick writing for Colin on The Herd. Hey, guess what? My pal Mike Vick is going to join us now. Mike Vick, brought to you by Mercedes-Benz, the best or nothing. It's good always to hear from my friend Vic. Vic, how are you this morning, my friend? It's good to talk to you. Second time today we've talked. Let's.
I've been up all morning, but we getting at it.
Okay, let's start with Deshaun Watson. If other than the Kansas City Chiefs, Is there any team in the league that if the Texans called and said, we will trade you Deshaun straight up for your quarterback, you would say no to?
I mean, look, I think, man, I'm going to have a conversation with D-Watt later on today. We just spoke about it a few minutes ago. And we're going to talk about it, just, in totality. But look, man, if I'm his agent, man, I'm pushing to get with the best team. I'm looking to get with the San Francisco 49ers or the Chicago Bears. Need some defense, need some weapons. If those teams are short of a quarterback and a deal can be made, the deal can be made with D-Watt. Now,
so let's stay on the Niners then.
Yeah.
Well, no. So let's worry about what Mike Vick's thinking. Let's stay with the Niners then, because the Niners are the team that I think Deshaun fits everywhere. But I think that if the Niners were able to make a trade for Deshaun Watson, they leapfrog not only all the teams in the NFC West, I think they leapfrog every team in the league, and they become the Super Bowl favorites for next year. And that's partially because of the defense and Kittle, but it's also because of Kyle Shanahan. As a guy who knows his dad, who knows Kyle, what would Deshaun Watson in that Shanahan offense be like?
First of all, the play action game and what his dad was able to do with John, what he was able to do even in Washington, I thought was amazing. And then Kyle, the same thing, what he was able to do with Matt Ryan in Atlanta. Just the run game in general. It just becomes a staple of the offense, and then everything just feeds off that. We've seen the Tennessee Titans this year benefit off run game. That was a correlation to the pass game and play action. And that's what you get, but you get it at a high level. And that's the one thing that I would say the Shanahan's father and son has been able to do probably better than any other coach in the National Football League. And it's a lot of great coaches that come and go. But, those guys have a recipe for success. Cal was doing it with, Jimmy G. He's got it done with him. They appeared in the Super Bowl, and he was even doing it with Nick Mullins, man. So you get a guy like Deshaun, it just enhances everything. And now you can just take it a step further. You got weapons. You can stretch the field. You can run the football, and then you can play defense. Half of that team was hurt, and they still was competitive this year. So I know for a fact if D-Watt go there, then he can compete with Patrick Mahomes and, Lamar Jackson and those guys who are going to be representing the AFC in the future.
Well, I think, though, for the rest of the league, the last thing they want, hi, Joy. For the rest of the league, the last thing they want is for Kyle Shanahan to get a significant upgrade on Jimmy Garoppolo. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful. Jimmy G, I understand he was in the Super Bowl, but I think what you've seen those offenses do and what you saw Matt Ryan be with Kyle Shanahan and then before and since, I think it'd be very scary if you got that type of quarterback. Let's stay with the quarterback conversation. Matt Stafford is not going to be with the Lions next year. There are reports this could happen sooner rather than later. Is there any place in particular you see that you think would be a good fit or make sense for Matt Stafford?
I think the Houston Texans. I think, once Deshaun decides on what's going to happen and he moves on, I think you can build around Matt. Matt got a couple years left. And, you just got to build around him. I know this situation will probably be totally different than what he dealt with in Detroit. But, he will be under the same circumstances. New coach, probably, a different locker room. And they got to start from the bottom. But, change is always good, and it's what Matt Stafford needs. It might not be with a team that has, all the, pieces in place, but if that comes about, if New England happens to step up, they had a lot of guys who set out last year for COVID, and they'll be getting a lot of those guys back, so they'll instantly become a competitive team. If they don't retain Cam, who knows? We don't know what, the sense of what they're trying to do is, but I think those are the two best options for Matt. If it's not the Texans, then I think certainly New England.
New England, that would be a really fascinating pairing. And you and I both, Cam personally, I don't. But you and I are both big Cam Newton fans, but he just didn't look right all year. It looked like he was laboring essentially after week 3 or 4. So you do wonder if New England is going to try to upgrade there. We don't have a ton of time, so I'm going to combine 2 questions to a degree. Which of these is more likely, in your opinion? Patrick Mahomes catches Tom Brady in the eyes of the public as the quarterback GOAT, or Andy Reid, your former coach,